Yes, welcome to another episode of GIS Pure Success webinar. This is episode number 13, which is Educate to Facilitate Smart Communities. You guys kind of feel it in the air? You kind of feel all this conference season happening? I do.
It's a huge commercial for the conference and for the GIS Manager Summit, I can tell you that.
Yeah. You know, it's
we get to some customers.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of buzz going around, and just want to let you guys know we're going to try to develop some sort of meetup for GISsuccess.com at the Esri UC. So details to be announced. We're going to try to grab a couple of special guests while we're there, since such a huge gathering, and so looking forward to that. Anyways, let me introduce myself. I'm Toby Soto. I am the creator, the blogger, vlogger of GISsuccess.com, which is your online resource to help you on your journey as a GIS professional to take you from good to great. And this episode is sponsored by GISsuccess.com, and it's the mastermind group that we're going to be talking about as our advertising, our sponsor today. And are you looking for a GIS group to give you some leadership support and make those tough decisions? Do you want to move your GIS program and others forward with dedicated peer input support, input and review? And are you looking for GIS peer connections and long-term relationships? Then the GIS Mastermind may be for you. And it's basically a small group of highly dedicated GIS professionals that support each other with strategies and how-tos and best practices and accountability. And knowledge is power, so more than one mind is better than one. And so, you know, bringing all these people together and helping you move your GIS program together is the way to go. It's a beta program, so this is something I'm just trying out, you know, just kind of throw it up against the wall, see if it sticks. And so I'm looking to develop this mastermind group with a limited number of people. So if this is something that of interest to you and you want to try it out, it's free. We're just going to do it for a few months just to kind of, you know, be a part of this new way of doing things, and you know, you can be a part of shaping this program. So go to GISsuccess.com/mastermind. Before we move into our discussion with our special guests, let's introduce co-host Tim Nolan.
Hey, I'll represent the co-host. I'll hold the co-host today. So my name is Tim Nolan. I work in Collin County, Texas. I've been out here for a while. And I've just, you know, a quick little story. I've been at GIS, and that was for my blissful years. I was a GIS manager here for 16 years, and I got promoted to IT. And that's what I learned, that things were a little bit different. You know, we're in GIS, I'd always get a phone call of, hey, can you do me a favor? Or, hey, thank you for that favor. But then once when I became an IT manager, I was mostly people complaining about stuff not working, and I knew my world had changed. So, so it's always great to kind of reach back into my brethren here of the GIS community. I have fond memories. I still have GIS as part of my group, but I also have other responsibilities. But I always look fondly back on how good those days were way back when. So, hey, Wade just joined us. So, Wade, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Perfect time.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
I am the Director of Enterprise Systems over here at the Utah Department of Natural Resources. Among the things that I get to play with are GIS and managing an enterprise GIS program, and drones. I'm managing a drone program as well, and other IT-related kind of interfacing with our main IT group. So that's kind of what I get to play with on a regular basis. So that's me.
Awesome. Hey, I just want to get a quick kudos to Tim for your visualize your work with the Eurista, Texas webinar.
Thank you.
That went off really well, and a lot of great information. I mean, what better way to learn time management than through Kanban? You know?
Especially from a procrastinator like me. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
True life stories, right?
Yeah.
A couple housekeeping notes. When using chat, remember to set it to all panelists and attendees so we can all see your chat and your comments. And if you have any questions, use the QA box. We'll be monitoring that. And as time permits, we'll be interjecting your questions. Definitely feel feel good to use that. And without further ado, let's introduce our special guest. So we have Jeff Griffin. He's the GIS Manager of Macon-Bibb County, Georgia. Multiple award-winning technology leader whose career has spanned both public and private sectors. He's a 2005 graduate of the University of Georgia's Carl Vinson Institute for Local Government Management. And he's also a 2017 graduate of the ERISA Leadership Academy. And in 2019, he was named the Government Management Information Sciences Outstanding Professional of the Year. And Jeff champions collaboration, self-awareness, and continuous process improvement as hallmarks of effective leadership in government. And we also have accompanying Jeff is Joe Nabhan? Nabhan. Okay. I knew I was going to get that wrong for some reason. He's been in GIS for over 15 years and a noted GIS professional in the GIS industry, and his career spanned public and private sectors and dealing with GIS applications for government, utilities, Sanborn Map Company, and even a ski resort. And you also are a recipient of the 2019 Spirit of Georgia Government Management Information Sciences Award. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to the roundtable.
Thank you. Thank you. We're grateful for you to have us.
Yeah, awesome. You know, Jeff and I, we've connected like a long time ago on LinkedIn, you know, back in, I took a look, it was back in November of 2016. And that was about a year after I started, back then it was called munigovguy.com, which is now gissuccess.com. And you've been a big supporter, and I really appreciate that. And since then, man, I've really seen your career just kind of skyrocket through, and you know, your leadership and your progression, and in this short amount of time, you know, you've created this amazing award-winning MaconInsights Data Academy, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Right. Okay, so we ready?
You go for it, man. You're on.
The key word for us is modeling, and so I have a lot of mentors that I duplicate, rip off and duplicate, I call it. And so if they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, you guys are going to be well flattered by the end of it. So, I'll tell you that I started off before I got to Macon-Bibb, going to user conferences and learning about strategic planning. The first GIS Manager Summit that I went to was out there in the hallway at the user conference. And so when I was out there, they had a thing that was almost like Lean Coffee Tin, and it was where they had brainstorming, but each table had an assigned topic, and you can kind of go sit at whichever table you wanted. And so what I noticed was that the strategic planning table was packed. I mean, double rows all the way around it. And so I saw that as a new GIS manager, that's where I needed to be, was strategic planning. So early on, I got involved with a good company called GOTG with Kurt Hinton and David Holdstock. And I went to some free webinars. We didn't have a budget back in that days. We still don't have a budget, do we? So we didn't have a budget. We had to look for the free seminars and webinars. And so we went to that one, and I still call that the best seminar that I've been to. And so they told us all about strategic planning and got me started on that road. So then, of course, Adam Carnall, he came out with this underutilization of GIS and how to cure it. So I got to look at that one time when we were at a conference, and he talked about using GIS as an enterprise system and not as a niche technology, and to treat it that way. So that led me to one of those summits, and I got to hear Tim speaking. And so Tim was talking about GIS being the face of IT, and I wrote that down right then, and I didn't really know what to make of it, and I kind of twirled that around and got to thinking about it, and then of course I heard Wade talking about the return on investment. I know that Wade's kind of a guru on the return on investment, and so brought those ideas back here, and my CIO Brett Lavender really liked the GIS as the face of IT quote. That's cool. So he liked that quote, and so he really got into promoting GIS at CIO events. And so we branched out from just GIS events to IT events. So, and then, as I said, I've been following Toby for a long time, learning from him. Can we pull up our slide now? Are we sharing our screen? Can you see our screen?
Not yet.
Okay. There's a little button on there that says share screen. Okay. There you go. This one? Yeah. Go down to there. That one. All right. Do the slideshow. Good. Got it?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Live demos.
Hey, we're all family.
All right.
There you go.
Screen share. There we go. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little presentation that we put together so that we could keep on track and give you some ideas about what we're doing here with the Data Academy. Joe and I are a two-man shop. We recently got a web developer, and you can see that there's no web developer in the Blues Brothers, so we did put him on there. So, but over to the right, you can see our cohort A of our Data Academy. And so one of the benefits of being in the Data Academy is that you get national recognition. So guys, this is it. So these are some of the things that that I learned at the user conference just last year at the managers conference. And so the things that we talked about there were using technology to increase our services and our revenue and our efficiency. And I saw a great slide that showed where technology bridged the gap between revenue and the need for services. And then Adam talked about this not being a technology problem, but being a people problem. So I brought that back, and here's that slide, and here's the elusive definition of how to be a smart city. And so what I got from that was that the smart city is the city that uses data the best for its people. It's a smart city. So you can see that gap there, and then new GIS supported government capabilities bridge that. And I got that directly from a presentation there. Wade, thank you. All right. So I also saw a slide that looked like this one. This isn't the actual picture of the slide, but this is where we took this path to a smart community and we modified it for our use. And so Joe is going to talk a little bit about where we are on that, along that path to the smart community. Joe.
Okay, so you know, when Jeff and I first started here in late 2016, we came into a GIS division that basically had been unmanned for a couple of years up to that point. So it was very much in a dilapidated state. And while that posed a challenge to us, it also posed an opportunity to be able to kind of, well, this is our chance to do this our way. And that's kind of the approach I think that Jeff and I took with this. So as you can see here, here's our path to a smart community that we promote through MaconInsights, and we encourage by participating in the Data Academy. But the first step to doing this was actually organizing the data. You know, find out what we have, what is the state of it, who are the folks that are actually the custodians of the information. As Jeff mentioned before, we run a decentralized GIS department, so our actual data editors and proprietors and custodians are in, not just in other divisions, but in entirely other departments of the county. So again, the first step was just figuring out who's doing what and what state's it in. The second thing we did was actually, like many other communities are doing, conformed it to the local government information model. And of course, the intent with that is to be able to easily integrate it into Esri apps and templates at the time. And then finally, after we had gone through that process, we wanted to make it openly available. And that's where the MaconInsights component kind of first started, which initially was our open data portal called MaconInsights, which is, of course, www.MaconInsights.com. So it was literally just a very flat and basic way for folks to download whatever GIS files we had available at the time. So that was kind of our jumping off point there. The second goal was to start promoting operational efficiency. So the first trick to that was just making these other departments aware that there are GIS solutions to do that. Some of these folks, believe it or not, rarely, if ever, even were accustomed to using a computer. So you're starting out with someone that doesn't use a computer, and then, well, you know, there's this thing called GIS, and here's what it does. And then here's some of the capabilities that you can actually use to provide those efficiencies to your department. So that kind of comes into a utilization component. Not only is there a, hey, here it is, but somehow we have to get them to actually start using it. And we have had some successes with that, specifically with our tax commissioner. Every month, he has to send out folks to go give liens on properties, unfortunately. And this process could take up to a week of them actually, you know, just kind of going out, well, I feel like I'll go here and then I'll go there. There was no rhyme or reason to it. So by using the routing analysis in Arcgis Online, for example, they were able to easily see how, you know, in a matter of minutes, you can come up with a route to actually go out and give those lien notices and get it printed out and out into the hands of those folks going out into the wild, so to speak. So they cut down from taking 5 working days to doing that to 1. So that's you know, just with that efficient routing right there, that's an 80% improvement in efficiency. So those are the kind of quick wins that we're looking for here when it comes to those operational efficiencies. Next, moving on to citizen engagement, we did deploy the ArcGIS Hub. So that's kind of our MaconInsights version 2.0, basically. So we do have our ArcGIS Hub. That's our main data portal where folks can come to get our applications. We tend to like to have a pretty precise focus on what our applications are. And there's kind of the common solutions that you hear from Esri, like the trash collection services pickup, where to vote, those kind of stuff. Those are easy wins as far as we're concerned. If we can deploy a solution quickly and effectively that takes a little bit of work off another department, specifically by usually answering phone calls and providing that information, we see that as a win. That also, that's kind of a twofer for us. It's a citizen engagement tool, but it also increases that operational efficiency. Another way we do the citizen engagement is a lot of folks don't know about MaconInsights website. So we like to embed those applications into common websites as well. You know, so we're looking to do that. We don't just want to have one place where people can come for GIS applications and solutions. We want it to be pervasive and almost like, well, of course it's there. And then finally, through crowdsourcing applications. Finally, through crowdsourcing applications, we're looking to get that engagement as well. And then moving on, mobile strategy. We're really looking to increase the use of that, specifically through things like collector apps, Survey 123, the Geoform apps. We want that kind of two-way path of communication between other departments, but specifically the community and us. And we're also looking into getting kiosks out in the county to where folks that maybe might not have cell phones, might not have data plans, that they'll be able to go to places like rec centers and libraries and common places where people congregate and be able to access these applications and services. And all that put together starts moving us in the direction of being data-driven. And what we mean by that is we just want to have the information in our hands that allows us to make intelligent, informed, and correct decisions. And again, I think that gets back to the whole concept of a smart community. Right? The whole concept of it is to be able to have that access to information to actually determine those things.
Thank you. So, so this is the process, and we started again, like Joe said, with the open data process. We're not going to give you any innovative ideas today. We're going to show you a solid plan executed, and that's what we've done. So we started with this open data portal, the data hub, and then our next step was to create this user group. You hear this talked about a lot. I know that's GIS 101, create your user group, also your steering committee. And then the third step there was to create this MaconInsights Data Academy. So twofold, we want to educate the people. We want to teach them how to think about data and show them how to think about data differently, and show them the data that they consume and also the data that they are producing. We want to use that to feed the MaconInsights and again, filter that through to the departmental websites through maps and applications. So that's, in a nutshell, the process. These, when we came in to build our user group, these are the usual suspects, so to speak. These are the departments that we know from experience would be good candidates for using GIS. Most of these departments are members, almost all of them are members of our user group. And about half of them have participated in the Data Academy so far. We're in our third cohort of the Data Academy. So we have had some success already. So these are our target organizations. You've seen things like this before. You've got your GIS staff and your user group, your steering committee, and your executive champion. What we want to do is to grow that green area, to grow our user group for utilization purposes. We also, we were successful in taking our user group itself and turning that into a subchapter of Georgia ERISA. And so we've got a middle Georgia subchapter of Georgia ERISA. And then you've got your 4 tiers of GIS users, and the idea here again is to grow that yellow tier, the third tier there. And so those are the people that are beyond Google Maps, and we want to make it so that they're actually using GIS for a useful purpose. And then the 10% of those will move on up and become analytical users, tier 2 users. So we're trying to bring people in the door and move them up along this this tier of users. So the MaconInsights Data Academy itself, we wanted this to be more than one of those classes where people just show up and get a certificate. Excuse me. So, so there are actually requirements that we have of the applicants. We don't accept everybody that applies. And so the first thing they have to do is to get approval of their department head, because this isn't a one-day class. It's 16 hours of intensive classroom training and about 3 times that in reading and homework assignments. And then everybody has to do a group project and an individual project as well. So this goes to the workforce development aspect. And especially outside the GIS world, in the IT world, the CIOs that we've interfaced with are keenly interested in this. Their number 1 concern is security, and number 2 is workforce development. So you can see that we require them to attend all of their training. We require them to attend our user group meetings while they're in the Data Academy. There are some deliverables that they get from being in this class. They have to create one data layer that's applicable to their department. They learn to create a story map. They learn to create an operations dashboard and/or a website. So these are people that walk in the door, never touched GIS before, and at the end of 4 months, they are creating content that goes into our MaconInsights website. And then finally, at the end, they are to present their individual project as a story map or as a case study. This is what's in it for them. This is what they get. Of course, they get a certificate of achievement, local, state, and national recognition like they're doing right now, like we're doing now, and through awards that we've received. They become the subject matter expert for their organization's location intelligence. So they're our go-to person for that. They're able to collaborate with folks like yourselves and folks like us, and And that really, I think the intrinsic reward of that is morale. It really increases their morale, being the subject matter expert that's collaborating with people that have similar problems as them. They get it, obviously a highly significant skill set improvement for career advancement, hopefully with Macon-Bibb County, but also wherever they may choose to go. They also, this is how they get access to desktop software. So when they finish working in the Data Academy, they're experts in Arcgis Online, and that's what our goal is to make them. But then we actually get them, we feed them into desktop through Arcgis Pro. So those are the benefits from being in there. This is these are a little closer look at the deliverables. So in their individual project, they do a departmental needs assessment. They create data based on that needs assessment. They create a web map that makes them more operationally location aware. We show them how to manage and analyze their data, and then how to present that as a story map, and really they're gravitating to the operational dashboards, which I agree with Tim when he says that we need to own that space, and this is how we do it at the departmental level. And then the group project, as a group, we choose a community issue. In this case, we usually, it's some project that we've been wanting to create data for. We choose a community issue, gather that information. But this is where we teach them how to use the Collector app to go out in the field and collect data, to edit attribute data, and then to present that as a group, as a dashboard. Then this is the actual curriculum. So a lot of the question comes around to what do you actually do there? Again, this is our third cohort, and this is the one that's about to start in July. And so this is how we break it up: an introduction for 4 hours, applications, and Joe, you can go ahead and talk a little bit more about that.
For sure. Right. So of course we have to start somewhere, and what better way than with an introduction? So again, these are folks that may or may not have even heard of GIS before. And the ones that have heard of it probably can't tell you what the acronym stands for. So again, this is kind of bringing folks in from the ground up. So we're kind of introducing them to what GIS is. We're talking about what the MaconInsights websites is, what that does, what Arcgis Online is, and then kind of taking it from there. So, and you can see our introductory courses. If you can use Amazon, you can use GIS. And the whole notion of that is you should be able to go out and find GIS information, and basically almost like you're just dropping it into your shopping cart, drop it into your map, and then produce some kind of information product from there. And it really is impressive to see how people kind of light up when they see exactly how easy that is. So anyways, then we kind of move into the Arcgis Online overview and the first and second classes of Arcgis Online. So again, that's taking them from not really knowing a whole lot to kind of understanding layers and base maps. Then moving on through Arcgis 1 and 2, they're starting to create web maps, and they're starting to get a feel for just how it works, how you go from a base map to a layer in a base map to a web map, and then on hopefully to application from there. So again, this is kind of overviewing that progression here, where before we're starting with creating the web map. Now we're taking that web map and we're using it to create story maps and web apps and dashboards. And a lot of what you see here is kind of a pretty generalized way of teaching people, where you start with a very basic concept, and then it just keeps building and evolving upon itself to where you can compound it into a more complex concept. So again, from there, we've moved on from the layers and the base maps and the web maps and all that, and then moved into the web apps, where we're making story maps and dashboards and that. And now we're moving into, well, that's great. We know how to produce these web-based applications and products, but but what about the meat and potatoes? Where's the analysis? So that's where we get into this section here. So we have a pretty comprehensive overview of the Arcgis online analysis tools. And of course, the big one is everyone wants to know how to do the routing for their organizational efficiency. So we put a lot of focus on teaching a routing class. So that's one of the big ones there. We go into data management. We start talking about data normalization and introducing folks to basic database management concepts. We move on into data analysis. And in there, I think we actually had some really interesting classes. This
Most popular class by far.
Right. People were coming out of there smiling out of that class. So one thing that was a big hit this year was the infographics capability in ArcGIS Pro. And then on to insights for ArcGIS. And honestly, that's something that's a little new for Jeff and I as well.
We're right on the bleeding edge.
Right. So we've had it on our radar, but we really haven't had a chance to use it a whole lot yet up until now. So that's kind of an interesting point about these Data Academy classes is we always like to tell folks that GIS is a big world of products and applications and information. And Jeff and I, we may seem very knowledgeable, but, we don't always know everything. And sometimes we're kind of learning along with them.
I think like you were saying in your last webinar, you got to stay current. And then this is a move and train. By the time, and in fact, we've noticed that by the time we finish our Data Academy, we'll get towards the end, there's new products and changes and new versions coming out. And you guys know how fast the industry moves. So the truth changes.
So finally, that evolves into the culmination courses where they're actually being introduced into the enterprise environment. They get an understanding of how that works, and they're introduced to our catalog. We didn't really go into ArcMap because we actually prefer them to go straight into ArcGIS Pro.
Skip it.
Right. So they get their introduction into ArcGIS Pro, and we just kind of move on from there. So again, we're starting out in the beginning with folks that perhaps have never even heard or understand or know what or how to use GIS.
Take them right up that path.
Right. And at the very end, they're in ArcGIS Pro and they're deploying a solution. And there's GIS people that we know now and work with that don't know how to do that. So that really is, in my opinion, a pretty impressive feat. And certainly a feather in the cap of the county and the departments and our partner organizations.
One of the most beneficial things that we've noticed as they go through this, I'm a big believer in success being where preparation meets opportunity. So we have people that are giving us feedback, in our classes, and they say, well, hey, I was in a meeting at work the other day, and these are people that are outside of our organization. I guess I should mention that we don't limit this to people that are within Macon-Bibb County. We want to build the whole community, so we're trying to create a broader footprint. So we had someone from the health department that says, well, we were at a state level meeting and they brought up this collector app, and I said, hey, I worked with that, and that's GIS. So the lights start to go on there, and if they hadn't been in the Data Academy, then they would still been exposed to that. They just wouldn't have been understanding what they were exposed to. So as we've worked through this is our CIO, Brett Lavender, and this is a national award that we won from GIS International. We won that last year for beginning MaconInsights. We won an award just this last month for the Georgia level of GIS for best practices. Again, this isn't anything that's innovative. These are GIS 101, but we're actually putting them together back to back and creating a process that's repeatable so that you can take it home and try it out for yourself. These are some other awards, the national award, and these are not GIS awards. These are IT awards. The top one there, that little sword, is the Excalibur Award, and it's for the Technology Association of Georgia. So we won that for the nonprofit category last year.
And that is a real little sword. It's actually really neat. I think we got it right here if y'all want to take a look. Yeah, there we go.
So almost done. So these this success that we've had through GIS and IT has led us to be the subject matter experts for the smart community here in Macon-Bibb and our smart city efforts. So when the elected officials and when the county manager get ready to work on smart projects, they call us, and a lot of these are intrinsically GIS based, as you know. So these are some of the ones that we've got in the hopper now. We started off with these 4. Our mayor just recently went to a Smart City Mayor Summit in New York City, and so he took one of these ideas up there and worked through it, and they were impressed that he was prepared like he was. And so, as you know, these are all things that are location based. Again, Wade, we want to be able to measure what we're doing and keep track of what's going on. So as we have these departments that are participating in here, we track this and we put it up on the board, and they're really honed in on, hey, why didn't I get any points in that one, and how do I get more points in this one? So again, that helps to motivate them. So that leads us back to where we started with our path to our smart community. Finished is a process, so we don't expect to get finished with this, because like I said, as we stay current, we're going to get new things that we have to teach, and we're going to get new challenges that we have to face, but it's going pretty well so far. We'll stop sharing there. And
awesome.
All right.
Good job, you guys. Yeah, that was excellent. I just really resonate with the fact that you guys are starting from like creating the base with staff, you know, because that's the hardest thing, is just getting people to understand GIS and even know about it, even in your organization. So, you know, creating this environment, excellent job, because I could just see how it kind of keeps proliferating, you know, as we're just saying that people start to recognize the uses of GIS and possibilities of GIS now that they've been exposed to it, you know, so it just kind of creates more efficiencies there.
And that's a good point. And I think from Jeff and I's perspective, it's almost a sink or swim scenario, because it's just us. And we want to provide that value, and we want to lift up all of the boats in the GIS ocean here in Middle Georgia, so to speak. So I think this Data Academy and the MaconInsights process is really the vehicle to do that.
Yeah. Now, did you guys have like a committee or anything that was put together to help create that curriculum, to help create the you know, the pieces in order to put this together, or was this just, you know?
This came about as several iterations. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to start to engage our departments. We talked about that in the summit last year, and we started off with, okay, here's, and not just in Macon. When I was in my previous position in Columbus, Georgia, we had introductions to GIS. So you've all done them, your departments and with your users. So over and over, we would get 3 or 5 people coming in there, and then the light came on that to really lower that bar. So that's where we came up with the idea for, if you can use Amazon, you can use GIS. And so the light bulb went off, and that's when we started seeing the classes starting to fill up. And so, but as we went through that introduction class, it obviously spurred more interest, and we said, okay, we got to expand this. And so Joe and I actually just came in this room here and started right now, well, what topics do they need to know? And we created the curriculum ourselves.
It really was kind of an evolutionary process, definitely, and one that arose kind of out of need. And I think we kind of knew in our heads where we had to have to start and where we would want to eventually go. But all those points in between is kind of what needed to be laid out. And so that's kind of the approach we took to this process.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that I'm really impressed with the results that you guys were able to create. I'm inspired by the fact that you have dealt with one of your major resource limitations, and that is you're limited to just a few people that could be those specialists. And you've opened this up to enable other staff members to also become capable of using these tools to ultimately provide business benefit. And I think that that's just a great job done. I'm kind of curious a little bit about how you think you might begin to deal with, you've got a lot more active users. How do you ensure that they're actually working on the highest priority or highest benefit projects? Do you keep tabs through your user group? Do you in any way try to steer them in what represents a high value project compared to lower value projects?
Yeah, that's where the needs assessment comes in. We've got a strategic plan that we want to follow, and of course that strategic plan is aligned with management goals and objectives. So we've got our elected leaders and our managers, our department heads, and we align our goals with theirs. I learned the hard way a long time ago that my goals don't make much sense if they don't line up with else's goals. So that makes things a lot easier. And as far as morphing this and keeping a finger on the pulse, this is evolved. As I said, our next solution is that we've got an executive data academy, and it's going to be a little higher level with less homework, but that's going to start concurrently with our next cohort in July. So it's going to be for elected officials and department heads. Our mayor is our first participant in that.
Hey. Well, that's great. And I think one of your other key accomplishments there would wind up being that you are perhaps elevated as those subject matter experts. I mean, to be called in as advisors to a smart city initiative because, yes, you understand the data, but you're proving that you have organizational value besides being data managers and map makers. You're actually a lot more than that. And so kudos to you for being recognized by your leaders in that capacity, because I think a lot of people could work 20 years in the GIS leadership role and still struggle to get accepted as an advisor. And so getting that accomplishment so early, I think, in your program's beginning is a great acknowledgement to the value that you've created for your organization. So again, kudos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Academy is fantastic. Now, how many people do you train during a cohort, during a session?
Yeah, we can accommodate 16, but that's a really hard group, especially when you get the needs assessment in there. So we'd like to keep that around 12. Our second cohort was sold out. We had a waiting list. Sold out is free, but I tell people the cost of the training is their time, because we do require a lot of their time, and we do hold them accountable as far as their assignments and what they're working on. So their investment is their time. This next cohort, we're probably going to limit that to about 12, because 16 was a little unwieldy.
So, and this is your second one. So you've gone through about 28, 30. Okay. So what about the public? Is this strictly in-house, or do you invite the citizens to participate?
Our targets, when I showed you that list of target GIS departments, those were internal departments. Those were some community organizations, and we purposely tried to recruit 2 to 4 outside organizations. So this time it was our health department. We got them to come, two from there. And then in our next cohort, we've got some people from adjacent counties coming, and we're really excited that a couple of our what are they called? Business development associations are coming. So they're totally outside of local government, right? Making Arts Alliance, which is a big get for us. We're pretty excited.
Fantastic.
Awesome. So you guys you have all these people coming in, they're creating data sets, they're creating story maps, they're creating apps, all this kind of stuff. So do you have like a central repository where all this stuff is now residing, so that, as they graduate and they move on and they start working with GIS in their section, are they able to refer back to what other people are doing and kind of stay on top of all the new projects that have been?
Yeah, that's the goals is that they become part of our GIS community, and we have www.MaconInsights.com, and that hub, that GeoHub, is broken up into the layers, 5 key areas. You know, everybody has the same ones: economic development, safe neighborhoods, quality government, things like that. So their deliverables are actually put into those bins, so to speak, so that they're able to get back to it. But they're vetted through us so that they meet quality requirements as well.
Right. And so graduation from the Data Academy, one of the things they get to retain is their Arcgis Online organizational account with Macon-Bibb County. So they do remain part of that process. So that doesn't go away. They get access to ArcGIS Pro, so they would need that login to use ArcGIS Pro. So that's something retained. Now, they can't just have it and not do anything with it.
Take it right back.
Right, we'll take it back if they're not using it. But if they're using it, then we think that's fantastic. And those are exactly the people that we want to work with.
Right.
Yeah. So how does the licensing work? Because, you know, as you're bringing in more and more people, I mean, you're chewing up more licensing, you're chewing up credits, especially when you start talking routing. You know, I could just see someone route, you know, all these addresses, and all your credits are like.
And we cap their credits, and we tell, you know, that's part of the introduction is there's credits involved. We're going to give you 100 to start with. If you use that up, it would be a good reason for it. We talk to them about it as part of the training.
Yeah.
We also want to do set up our own geoprocessing so that we can do that at the portal level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it.
Right. So we do have an ELA. So we have you know, not an infinite, but a good amount of Arcgis Online accounts.
That's a good measurable
Right.
way. We had 11 GIS users when we started this. 11. We had 11 GIS users. Now we've got 107. And so right now, that's not it's not an issue. But, you know, in a little while, it's going to become an issue, and our goal is to give enough return on investment so that we can extend that when the time comes.
Right. So so that's exactly right. So we're not quite halfway through our available accounts, and that's where it gets back to, hey folks, we only have a certain number of these accounts, and if you aren't using it, we're going to unfortunately have to take it back. And also, if we really get our backs up against the wall, then that's where we start taking a look at, well, you know, we do have these outside organizations. Maybe we need to think about pulling some of those back, or otherwise expanding our licenses. And so we also do have a portal implementation. We don't have ArcGIS server, analytics server set up at the moment. So that's one of our near-term goals. We want to get an Insights server set up. So we really want a robust implementation of portal before we start switching people over to there. We want it to be a seamless transition back and forth from portal to ArcGIS Online as far as the expectations and the usability of those things. And so once we do that, that opens up a whole nother realm of licenses that we could use over there. So at that point, we'd start thinking about, well, who's better served by being on ArcGIS Line? Who is better served by being on portal? Right.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you have this opportunity to do is really begin to instill in the people that you are enabling to appreciate the documentation of their business impact. As you get on with your program and you're going to be reaching certain limitations in terms of other resources, your ability to recall, prove, and document the types of efficiencies, like Joe, you mentioned 80% for your tax department, being able to more effectively route inspectors in a smart way. That 80%, take the time to figure out what that actually results in terms of cost avoidance. And by the way, every day you take a staff member off of your roads, you're also lowering liability risk. So put those qualitative measures in there too, because if you could, you know, take a 5-day process and work it down into one, then really you're reducing that risk exposure by 80%. which, while it's hard to quantify the impact of an accident that did not happen, you can still take credit for that, so that when you reach a licensing limitation, you have the ability to go to that one department and say, look, we're just asking for a little boost from each department that receives benefits from our program. We've saved you 80% on this particular workflow. We estimate that to be X dollars. We're asking you for half of that on an annual basis from now on. And we think we can guarantee X kind of benefit going forward for you. But you've got this opportunity to start documenting and instilling that in the people that are actually doing the work to help you tell your story in a qualitative and a quantitative way.
That's an excellent point. And that is something that Jeff and I do talk about frequently, and we do have some documentation. Another thing we'd like to is to actually flip that notion on its head and ask those folks that are implementing these systems to actually submit case studies and let them bring in that documentation to us, and so that we can have that later on down the line. But those are good things to know just anyways. It makes us feel good when folks can save time and resources and be able to dedicate that to perhaps more pressing needs they might have.
Right.
So I know it's just you two, which is like, that's a big feat right there, just trying to accomplish all this between you guys. So, as you bring more people into this system, obviously that's going to put more pressure on you guys to, make sure certain data sets are available, make sure things are up to date, the quality is there. How are you guys planning on that? Because now you're going to have more players into the system. How are you going to balance that priority of, keeping data, operational things in place versus, all the other projects that could be coming on late?
There's going to be growing pains, and one of our goals with being a hybrid governance model is that we don't become a bottleneck. So we want to make sure that the stewards of the department level are brought along at a pace so that they can take with us. And then, of course, staffing needs eventually will have to be scaled.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think one thing that's always rolling around in the back of our mind is the sustainability of what we do. And we do keep in mind the growth factor as well. So that is kind of what we do when we kind of look ahead and we're looking to keep an eye towards the future. We're hoping to anticipate those needs, and when we can, plan ahead. But I do agree that I think eventually increasing staff either externally or within our division will have to happen sooner.
So how do you guys advertise this amongst the other departments? How do you, acquire people to get into this? How do you get that exposure?
Our biggest supporter is our CIO. So he's at the monthly department head meetings, and he's talking about the successes that we have there. Again, we do have our user group. We also have the Georgia sub-chapter that we have, and there's about 175 people on our mailing list for that. So we advertise it in that way. We have a public affairs department that sometimes will give us a shout out. So we haven't had any problem getting people to the classes.
And I'd say additionally, we actively seek people out.
Right.
We're looking for people both in the county government and external.
Yeah. What's your vision?
Right.
What's your pain?
That have the interest, the technical capability, influence to bring value to the community. So that's one of the things we look for first. What is the return on investment with bringing this person into the Data Academy? And I don't think we've really had trouble finding every class that we've had. There's been more applicants than we can accommodate. So up to this point, it's been going very well. But we do want to find, I'd say we do want to find people in the community that perhaps would be overlooked, but can really provide substantial value to the process.
One of our next steps is we have never hosted a GIS Day event here. In my old position in Columbus, we did that for about 12 years in a row. Here we haven't done that. So this year we're going to have a GIS Day. And so the focus of the GIS Day is going to be our our Data Academy graduates, the best ones are going to have tables and presentations at GIS Day, and that'll be a regional event.
Oh, that's excellent. That's an excellent way of exposing GIS.
Just so we're all clear here, when you started this Data Academy, you and Joe just got in a room and just started kind of coming up with the curriculum on your own. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all not bring in a consultant or hire folks to help you build any of this?
You guys, you know, we pay attention. We pay attention to Toby and Tim and Wade and Adam Carnall. I can't say that.
Yeah.
You know, I listened to him and it's an enterprise.
So, I mean, and that's kind of what I'm leading to, not the compliment to us, but just the endorsement of going to conferences and going to these events. Can you speak a little bit to that on how that's been helpful in this process?
Yeah, so conferences, the way we really got people's attention, and Toby, this is your shout out. So Toby does this top 5 takeaways from all of his conferences, usually walking in some beautiful California environment when he's talking about it. Well, I did that too, and I said, well, here are our top 5 takeaways. And from last year, it was ROI, it was demand versus revenue, it was change, disruptive technology, governance models, and collaboration. So I think that was my number 1, was collaboration. And so I kind of just harp on that over and over with how can we collaborate, how can we break down silos and use this to make better government.
Awesome. Really good, man. I'm really proud of you guys. You guys did an excellent job, and just the reach that you guys are going to get out of all this is just unbelievable, you know, and the benefits.
So,
you guys, anything to add?
Yeah, shameless plug. Next month, not in June, but in July, after the user conference, we're going to be hosting our next mega Middle Georgia ERISA subchapter luncheon. And so July is a big vacation time, so we're planning on, Joe and I are going to actually be the presenters at that. Usually we bring somebody in from an outside organization, but we're going to present a more in-depth topic of how we did it, I guess.
Sweet.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, you guys. I know we're coming up on the hour, and I want to be very observant of your time and efforts here. And how is the best way for people to get in contact with you guys?
www.MaconInsights.com.
That's the way.
They can also reach us by email at GIS@MaconBibb, so that's MaconBibb.us. GIS@MaconBibb.us.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you, you guys. Appreciate it. And we will have a replay of this here shortly. So if you guys are on YouTube, you'll be able to watch it and check out that replay. And make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for reminders when the video hits the waves there. And you know, again, thank you, you guys. And I appreciate all the support you guys have given us along the way. And I hope to see you guys at the Esri conference.
Yeah, great job, Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, we're all wearing blue today. You notice that?
Yeah.
It's just like
That's right. A little purple here.
very good, guys. Well, everybody have a great day. You know, make great efforts, make great strides, and you know, let's make it happen. So thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. See y'all.